Swanglin.
Episode 32 of the Swanglin Show. It's going down. Joshua P. Dunn in the motherfucking house. Once again, Kyle is found. Once again, he's in the building. My co-host joins us on episode 32 of the Swangler. Also in the building today, we got Marinated Mitch representing motherfucking Jonesboro, Arkansas, the number one contender to the world heavyweight Swanglin champion, who is also joining us today live from South Florida. MrGrippz, Vice Grip is in the house. And then it's a dual champion affair because Stan Edwards Jr., the self-proclaimed motherfucking intercontinental Swanglin champion, is in the building. The king of the mid-card joining us today as well on episode 32 of the Swanglin Show. 32 always makes me think about Magic Johnson right off top. You know what I'm saying? Much love to Magic Johnson, number 32. Today, we're going to talk, fellas, about some controversial subject it may be to some. We're going to talk about religion on the Swanglin Show, episode 32. You guys ready to have this conversation? What's happening?
Yeah, let's get it.
Let's get it.
Okay, so in my research, right, I'm seeing, there's a bunch of big religions across the world. The main one being Christianity is the largest religion in the world, followed by Islam. And then below that is people categorized as no religion, followed by Hinduism, Buddhism, and folk religions, with Buddhism and folk and other religions like Judaism, Sikhism, things like that, represent less than 10% of the overall landscape of the world religions, right? So in this major list that they have compiled, even though they have Judaism listed as 0.2%, less than 1%, it is still represented on this mega list of world religions. So I want to throw the first question out there to the Swanglin heavyweight champion, that fucking Florida Israelite, the motherfucking Bear Jew who lives amongst us, Vice Grip. How does it make you feel to know that even in large statistics, you know what I'm saying, being Jewish, to see your religion still get that much limelight, still get put in the statistic, even though the statistic is so small?
I mean, you look at the history of the Jewish people and how far back the traditions go, due to not having an actual country until 1947, and the racial and anti-Semitism, or just all the hate in general that Jewish people have faced throughout the years. You can see why that we're not probably amongst the more popular religions and ethnic groups of people, because who wants to get the short end of the stick, right? Who wants to sign up to be looked at differently or persecuted in a way? So I think mainly with Judaism laying the foundation for what we see with the big three religions as far as what people know, which is Christianity, Islam, and Judaism. Judaism kind of laid that foundation with the Torah, with the Old Testament, for both of those religions after to develop. But you see a lot of it is historical. There's never been like a conquering Jewish army that forced their religious views on people in other countries. So you see the spread of Judaism more with the people being nomadic and settling in different parts of the world, and then just practicing what they practice. So yeah, less than 1% of the world population, less than 3% of the United States population are Jews.
I think that's very interesting that you mentioned that too, because by population, that would make the concentration of the Jewish population in the United States almost as equally concentrated to Israel in relation to the world population of Judaism. Would that be correct?
We would have to look at the specific numbers, but I know, Israel's a very small country. I learned certain things when I was over there. The the livable, like the border of Israel is around the square footage of like New Jersey. And then
Gotcha.
the actual places, a lot of it's desert and not like developed. So you have the actual cities are more equal to what Rhode Island is. So it's just a very small country in that area. It's not really, what's funny is when they fought for independence in 1947, when they were given statehood to become a country by the United Nations and by Great Britain, who owned that territory politically, they gave it to Jews to develop into a country to govern. A war of independence broke out and all the neighboring Arabic countries attacked Israel. And Israel won and conquered extra land. The northern Sinai Peninsula in Egypt belonged to Israel. And as a show of good faith with the Egyptian people, Israel gave that land back to Egypt and just left. So then they developed the borders that we see today, which is what I'm speaking of, how it's a small country. It's just not a lot of people. And you also have Christians and Muslims and other faith beliefs that live in the region of Israel, but majority is Jewish in Israel.
That's what's up. And I believe that it's crazy. You had mentioned like who would want to sign up to be part of the lower percentage in talking about that statistic of the amount of people that practice Judaism all over the world. And it's crazy that you would mention that, because really, when you look at all of the religions just in general, like I was raised loosely Catholic to where it was like not very closely practicing. You know what I mean? Most times didn't practice at all. You see people like there's like a inferiority complex that sits within a lot of religion structures to where it's like, if you don't do this, you'll go to hell. Or if you don't live this certain type of way, you may be inferior. There's always a standard there that's set. And you mentioned like the lower percentage, right? Well, there's like the Jewish people, man, it's weird that even in today's world, it's like, it's an ethnic group of people, but like you guys are like a high victim of like targeted attacks for some reason. Like people have issues where like they'll go to mass shootings when they do these like fucking little church bombings and they do all this wild ass shit. A lot of the times they do it they target Jewish people for that. And I don't understand why that is the case. I was going to pass the mic over to my co-host Newkleus, the fickle freckle boy living in the motherfucking sea, to have him chop it up about that why you think it is that Jewish people get targeted.
It comes down to a couple of things. And a lot of it is like the same reason why you don't join us. You stick out as like somebody who is different. Like it's been like that for a long time, even back to the plague and stuff like that, where Jews were blamed for that because they were the only ones different and they seemed to be rather successful compared to their numbers. And there's a variety of reasons for that. But I think nowadays it's myths and stereotypes that are perpetuated from generation to generation that just keep coming down, and they keep coming up every generation. They're like that Jews are secretly running the world, or the Holocaust didn't happen, or if you go back even further, like they were sacrificing non-Jewish children to use their blood for to make their challah bread and all sorts of weird stuff. But it's, I think a lot of it is just they're different, and they Jews keep to themselves because all they want to do is practice their faith and be left alone. They're not trying to recruit like other people. But sometimes people see that the whole like keeping to yourself thing is like, oh, they're hiding something. But really, they just want to be left alone because every generation they're persecuted.
Well,
that's
what's
why
crazy?
You see, like, I was gonna add on with Kyle. That's why you see like a lot of the racist, like stereotypic stuff. It's like Jews are sneaky. They're always looking to do something. You know what I'm saying? Like, what are they up to? It's because they're, our communities are more tight knit Especially like, you have different sects of the Jewish religion. You have, like, I grew up Reform, not very religious at all. I seeked out the knowledge and the tradition of the culture on my own as I got older. But my family didn't raise me, to be super religious. Then you have the Orthodox, which are super religious. They adhere to all the laws. They, live around synagogues. So when they observe Shabbat, they can walk to temple because you can't use your car Friday night, and with some Saturday night as well. So, it's interesting that even as small of the population as it is, you'll see different sections of the religion in itself with different interpretations. Some have more literal, some have more spiritual. Even something like a Kabbalah study was demonized as like Jewish mysticism. It was outside of the dogma of the actual religion.
And that's something that a lot of people that listen to the Swanglin Show may not be familiar with. But look, I got to interject. There is always this outlying concept of, the sneaky Jew that runs the fucking world. And you want to know what, for you anti-Semite little son of a bitches, I'm going to save you a whole bunch of research. I'm going to save you a whole bunch of fucking work. We're just going to lay it out plain and simple. You know what I'm saying? I found out who it is that is the singular fucking Jew that runs the fucking world. And you're looking at him, the Swanglin heavyweight champion down there in South Florida. This guy right here, there he is. That's the little son of a bitch that runs the world, because he's the Swanglin heavyweight champion. He's the Swanglin heavyweight champion. And,
it's all the glasses.
That's something we don't take lightly. But it's episode 32 of the Swanglin Show. I appreciate you guys being able to come in and drop some game about Judaism directly. It's something that I don't know a ton about, but I'm always open and interested in learning as much as I can about everything. I don't really practice much faith in religion, but I do know that a lot of religions and the stories that compose the backgrounds of those religions, there's a lot of similarities that lie within all of them. You know what I mean? It's a moral construct, you know what I mean, that people use as a society to adhere to kind of keep everybody in good faith, keep everybody with a good faith about helping other human beings and being faithful to their family and having a good moral structure, right? So this question, I got to pass to the number one contender to Vice Grips Swanglin heavyweight champion. I'm talking about Marinated Mitch down there in Jonesboro, Arkansas. My man joining me on Swanglin 32. Have you, can you notice, like, between the different religions, like the similarities that lie?
Yeah, a lot of it. You basically living a good life so that you collect abundance in your afterlife, or create a new life, or you just, I don't know, positive influence in your life to pass to others, and I don't know, you'll receive the blessings. It's about, next question, please. No,
I do have another question for you, because I know, like, being around you, I've known you for many years. You're someone that is like a joyous person. You know what I mean? You're outgoing person. You're boisterous type, charismatic type dude, but not in an arrogant way. You're just a lively person. You're enjoyable to be around. A lot of people would say that is like a testament to like somebody that is faithful, or someone that is very giving or courteous to the world. You know what I'm saying? So those are like a lot of traits that lie in people that are worshipers of religion, people that follow their livelihoods based upon the scriptures and texts of whatever it is that they follow and whatever it is that they call God, right? So what is something that, as a person of having a high spirit like you have, what is faithfulness to you and devotion? What's that all about?
Faithfulness and devotion, man. Just devoting your time, man, to whatever your higher power is, and trying to grow as a person, and trying to grow as a mentor to others or a helper to others, using, the things that you've been through in life, to share testimonies for others that are going through similar situations so that they realize that they're not the only ones going through it. And I don't know, to me, it helps pick up people's spirits at times. Like I've witnessed a bunch of people, down and out, or they in a situation where they think that, there's no way out. And I've been there, that there's no way out, there's no way out. And then boom, somehow in the midst of everything being a no way out, now there's a way out and you can't explain it, And so like, I don't know, when it happens, man, to me, it's like a wake up call. And I feel like I got to share it, man, because I know there's other people in the same situations. And I feel when you do that, it kind of reciprocates through the world. And I don't know, it makes everybody a better person because we're thinking about others instead of ourselves at times, and man, just life is hard itself, man. Like, ain't nothing pretty really about this life, man. So, I mean, you got to keep a high spirit and you got to stay positive and good energy, because if you feed into the negative, it's just going to come out negative, So like, that's what I do, man. Just try to share my experiences in life and my experiences of what my high power is, and live to the fullest, man.
Well, I think that's a fucking very good way of explaining that, because it's like it's part of the reason I think that you're like a good performer, as well as being a stage performer in a way, is like that energy that you give out and the charisma and just the positive, radiant vibe that is attractive to everybody. You know what I mean? And I guess for people in religion, I guess there are people that are involved in different religions. I guess you could kind of equate that in a way to where that's like that energy would be God, right? Or Allah, or, whoever it is that you're praying to, you know what I'm saying? So me personally, like, I'm not anti-religion, but I don't practice religion. I just kind of believe in the energy that I put out to people. I believe in the power within myself and know what I'm capable of, and maybe that's a portion of my life that I need to develop further and seek into, and maybe unlock some hidden powers within your boy that I don't know exist. And maybe I'll get to that. But at this point, I love learning about the differences between the different religions. And I love talking and being open-minded. Like, I don't give a fuck what somebody's ethnic background is, or what their fucking class status is, or any of this bitch ass shit. I just feel like, as a human being, I know where I'm from. I know what I've seen. I know what I've been through. But that has nothing to do with anybody else's story and what they've seen and what they've been taught and what they've been through or whatever. So I'm trying to link. I wish, and I think it's kind of a misrepresentation of the Swanglin mindset in a way that we don't have somebody on the show that practices Arabic faith for this conversation, because I think that would be great insight to have. We could bounce some questions around. Maybe I'll learn some things about some stuff that isn't regional to very heavily to where we live. You know what I'm saying? That would be great to learn some extra shit. But
one thing I could say, because I've traveled to the Middle East and talked to and politicked with Arabic people. I'm not particularly super informed about the Muslim faith in the different faiths of the region. But with talking to them, I mean, the people were beautiful people. They were super friendly. You could feel a warm, good vibe from them. And whenever it came up, because in going to countries like Egypt and other countries in the Middle East, my family was like, you're Jewish. They may not really want you over there. But I think I had an advantage because they could tell I was American. And they said mostly it's not negative vibes with Jews particularly, but they said the politics of Israel has played a big part of their views, So, and with Israel being associated with Judaism, we forget that the country represents the people, but it's also a government, just like the United States government, just like any government. And the people definitely don't always agree with what their government's do or how they act in some ways. So, I just wanted to throw that out there since we don't have anyone representing. I just wanted to put that little nugget out there.
And we very much appreciate that. Where was it in the Middle East that you went to? You went to Egypt, right? And Israel, correct?
Yeah. I was in Egypt and Israel. And in Israel, you're on the border of like Jordan. We went up north to the Golan Heights. So I was on the border of Syria, like right on the border. You can see into the country.
Nice.
And then I spent 9 days in Egypt, all throughout the country. It was fire, especially downtown Cairo. To me, it looked like Queens. It was just like apartment buildings, super big city. It's like 22 million people, dog. It's huge. Like it's crazy. But the people were super nice. It's a beautiful country. I definitely recommend people going. There was actually a travel ban from the United States. So aside from just being Jewish and having all these Hebrew tattoos and Stars of David and everything, that people, can just see that I'm a Jew. My parents were like, Americans aren't supposed to be over there right now. This was during the Trump presidency, a couple years, like 2017. I was over there. But I had a great time. It was a lifelong goal, what I'm saying? Since I was a kid, and the Egyptian people were beautiful. So
I can see it now. Stan had mentioned on a previous episode of the Swanglin Show that you got these Ric Flair vibes, man, with the fucking your jet setting out here across the country with the Swanglin Heavyweight Championship. We got the fucking homie Stan Edwards Jr. representing Rapper Geek in the building with the Black Panther background. The Intercontinental Championship is not visible at this very moment, but we got a question for Stan. We got to know, within like the religion structure, it always seems like there's always this portion of people that are almost like the religion police in a way. It's like the people that want to shun you and look down on you for maybe you're not following this correctly or you're not doing that correctly. Do you have any experiences in your life where like maybe you were the victim of these motherfuckers' goddamn judgment?
I was raised Christian, and from my experience, Christians are exactly what you're talking about.
I was just gonna say the same thing.
Yeah, the police, the religion police, basically. You know what I'm saying? If you're not in church every Sunday, you know what I'm saying? Like you busting hell wide open, as they always, as the old folks say. You know what I'm saying? If you like just following your basic human instincts, whatever it may be, you busting hell wide open, right? And like it's very, obviously it's very judgmental, but like one thing I was thinking about with what Kyle and what Vice was saying, about how in Judaism, they got certain rituals, that they follow, right? From my experience, right? Like, growing up Christian, like our only ritual was go to church on Sunday. You know what I mean? And like we didn't really have any other like, rituals as far as like like similar to other, religions other than just going to church on Sunday. But if you didn't go to church on Sunday, you were definitely getting shamed, and I think, and that's the problem that I have. I don't have a problem with religion, but I do have a problem with the way people use religion is, they use it to try to shame people, for doing what they do. You know what I mean? You see it, you see it when you have a conversation with anybody about, whether it's like sex or, what I'm saying, like anything like that. People, there's a lot of blockages around certain aspects of life, like sex, for instance, using as an example. There's a lot of blockages around that because of the shame that has been passed down, not just because of religion, but, I think religion has been a main culprit of that shame. So, long story short, to answer your question, absolutely. I've grown up around, people shaming you for, like I said, not going to church, not doing certain things, not being as good of a Christian, as certain people think you should be.
Yeah. Now that question, I want to get Mitch's opinion on this, piggybacking off what you just said, because I seen his face light up as soon as you start dropping about how the Christian community can be, once you're involved in it, you can see some kind of the underbelly of really some judgmental ways within people. Mitch, your thoughts?
Man, I feel like he said Christians are some of the most judgmental people, and I feel like they are so pressuring at times that it makes people just want to run. I love my mother to death, you know what I'm saying? But my mother is constantly down my throat every time she sees me, you know, and I know she means well, you know, but sometimes I'm not trying to hear that right now, you know what I'm saying? And I'm just being real, you know, I know God, you know, I know my higher power, I know that. But just like, if to me, religion's already a touchy subject between different people, you know, and different cultures. So you got to still throw out that respect with it. You know what I'm saying? There's not a reason or nothing wrong with you trying to, you know, let a person know that you're Christian, you know, but don't overstep your boundaries and tell them they got to be Christian or else they're going to hell, or they got to live this certain life or they're going to hell. And with churches, like it's the same thing in the Christian church. It's who's the best Christian, you know, and it becomes a competition of people trying to prove that they're a better Christian than others. When all actuality in the Bible that they preach about, it says no sin is greater than the other. So, I mean, in all actuality, they're only as good as them too, because they have something they're sinning about. Nobody's perfect, you know? So therefore, nobody should be judging nobody, you know? And that's how I look at life. Yeah, I was raised Christian too, but there's still a lot of stuff that I don't agree with, you know, with how the Southern culture of it is, you know, like here it's Bible Belt Christianity, you know, and like he said, you got to go to church every Sunday. If you don't go to church this Sunday, you was with the devil, you know, and it's just like, you know, I respect the higher power and I respect everything, you know, that y'all are saying, but at the same time, man, it's supposed to be love, you know. If I don't feel that love and I feel that awkward energy of you trying to belittle me or, you know, make me think that you're greater than me when all actuality we're the same, then it's just a big turnoff to me, man.
And I get it, dude, because it's contradictory to the things
like a mug,
within,
you know?
the things within the text. But that's kind of like people in general, man. And you see this, whether it's in the business world or in the personal relationships, in any dynamic whatsoever. Sometimes, man, some people, they get this little taste of power. You know what I mean? And it's just enough to just unlock the fucking legitimate, twisted son of a bitch demon within them. That
it's
like
a human element.
Do you believe that to be
element.
What element do you think that is? Vice, you think that's greed?
It's just a human element, you know. I forgot what philosopher said it, but they said power corrupts and absolute power corrupts absolutely. So, you know, I think that's just a human element. And I don't know if it's because of religion or it just lacks it in religion. I don't know if religion solves it or where it stems from, where it comes from. But I mean, you know, you don't have to look far to see that people can be cruel or judgmental to each other.
Oh, big facts, big time facts, dude. And like, especially like if you read within the subtext of any religion, within these stories, I mean, a lot of them, there's always this overlying hope or faithfulness towards something larger. But within the underbelly of these stories, you see a lot of crazy shit. You see theft, you see lying, you see absolute power and murder and all this crazy shit. And it's all binded and wrapped up around this concept of equality and morality and all these different things. But then sometimes the people that we trust to within those communities to be the leaders and the people that we trust to pass on this wisdom and knowledge to the younger people and to the people just of any congregation. You know, sometimes they get that shit real twisted and use it for their own personal benefit. I got a question for the Newkleus, the fickle freckle boy living in the sea, my fucking co-host on the Swanglin Show. Kyle, can you give me an example of maybe where you saw somebody use religion for a negative influence?
Oh, all the time, man. when you are like harping on people, like there's what's in the Bible, and then like there's, you know, common sense or like decency. I say decency more than sense. Like the harping on people for going to hell, like they don't have any merit in that anyways. You know, it's like some people will, by being so righteous, they use the religion like backwards. They're using it to like for vanity and for show, and it's like every organization kind of has that, where there's like people, there's a fucking idiots at the top or this or that, you know, where like things are, you know, so every organization has a certain subsect of people, and every congregation has them too, where it's like they're going to play a game. It's a game and stuff, and they use, well, look at them, they're not perfect and stuff. So it's I think that's just a human nature. The like dogma of religions is like, in a sense, like the rituals and stuff sometimes keep us from God, in a sense, from the relationship with the God, because we have to do it like this, or we have to go on Sunday, where it's like, you know, if you could just show up on your time to the church and kind of have, you know, or you could, you know, I don't know, but I've seen it a lot, dude, in the Catholic church I was in, where people were just like gay people, like they're so worried about what the other family is doing and what their situation is, when they have their own problems and stuff, where they're sinning as well, which is what Mitch has talked about. That's just rampant. And then like as you were talking about, Josh, about like you know, it reminded me of the Catholic priests abusing their power and over communities, and you know, the children in those communities, as someone who was raised Catholic, like, and having to deal with answering for that.
That's Christianity too, though.
Yeah. Well, some Christians and some of the Southern Christians too don't consider Catholics Christians because of the Mary worship that goes on in the Catholicism a little more than other ones. So like it is Christianity, they believe in Jesus, but there's some Christians that don't even think Catholics are proper Christians because of the Mary worship and the worship of saints. So it's like another. I always kind of, when I think of it, I try to speak from being a Catholic, not being a actual overall Christian, because that's all I can kind of speak to. But yeah, just religion in itself is, the dogma sometimes keeps you on the ritual, having to do the ritual, and it takes you out of the zone of the relationship with God, you know, in a sense. So
I agree with you. And a lot of the times, like the ritual portion of it was a portion for me when I was younger that was kind of turn-offish to me. Like, not the rituals of like the things that they're saying within the text of the book, or the logic they want you to live your life with, but like the ritual portion of the ceremonies. You know what I'm saying? When it's like you're in a Catholic church and the motherfucker comes out with the smoking urn, and I'm like, where's the Undertaker type shit? Like, what the fuck's going on? You know, some stuff like that kind of made me question. Or like especially there's like major differences within world religions about burial services and funeral services, birthrights. There's a lot of different things that people, when they come into this world as babies, man, they get gifted and birthed. This ideology that gets pressed on them based upon who their parents are, or where they were fucking born, or all this different shit. And that's why, like Mitch had mentioned, I think it's a beautiful thing for somebody like me to have this platform with an open mind, to where like I want to talk about the differences between these things, about the common ground that makes us all fucking human beings. Because in reality, it doesn't matter who you worship. It doesn't matter none of that should matter to the next person. You know, your personal relationship with this world is your duty and your responsibility as a human being. And however the Fickle Freckle Boy or Marinated Mitch or the Swanglin Champion or the King of the Mid Card, however you guys decide to mold your own ideologies and have faith in whatever you decide, that's, I believe, is the ultimate personal decision. I have more respect for that than anything in this fucking world. So it don't matter to me who you praise, who you fuck with, whatever. I deal in kindness in general, and the people that are members of the Swanglin Show definitely have always been kind to me. And that's one thing that I think is positive about religions. Because like so far on the episode, we've talked about a lot of different things that maybe have rubbed us the wrong way outside of getting those facts about Judaism out of the homies, MrGrippz and the Newkleus down there in the sea. You know what I'm saying? So I also want to make light and point out some things about religion that are positive as well, because like I said, I dwell in the middle. I dwell in my own personal energy. I dwell in the way that I treat people. You know what I mean? I kind of live in my centralized zone, but I want the information and I want the knowledge. So I got this question for my man, Marinated Mitch down there in Jonesboro, Arkansas. Can you tell me about maybe an influence that you gained that was positive that stemmed from religion?
Influence that I gained that was positive. One, let's say, influence that I gained that was positive. To me, other than just wanting to be a good person, you know, and do right and be a man of integrity, you know, doing the right thing when nobody's watching and nobody's looking. To me, that was a big thing in it. Just trying to help others, man, and I don't know, be there for people, you know, because like I said, life is hard and we all are fighting our own battles. So just being there when somebody needs you to talk or, you know, to help out in a situation, if you can help, you know, try to do that and hope that they'll just pass that same energy on. Got to keep that good energy, man. Like the energy is everything. And as long as you surround yourself with that good energy and keep putting it out in the world, I feel that that good energy is what's going to come back. And I just feel like everybody, every religion, every culture, like if we based all of our lives on that, then, I mean, we could all get along and be able to talk about different religions and all this without people, you know, getting butthurt over it, choosing sides and, you know, trying to think they're holier than thou and all that shit, you know?
Yeah, we don't fuck with that holier than thou shit on the Swanglin Show. And I'm just going to put it out here like this. If you're one of these motherfuckers, man, that takes advantage of people via the church, or you take advantage of people based on your political position in any fucking structure whatsoever, or you think that you're better than someone, we're here to remind you of fuck you, you little son of a bitch, on the Swanglin Show, because that's not the fucking move. You know what I'm saying? And you see this a lot of times, man, that when people believe in something, man, they're willing to go the length for what they fucking believe in, man. As human beings, this is something that stands the test of time. You know, we've seen it. People fight in world wars and people do all these things based upon the things they believe in. Like, not to swing it to a negative subject, but like during World War II and the Holocaust, a lot of the fucking people that were a part of this like ravaging fucking social cancer that was the German military force believed the ideology from somebody else that caused them to do the craziest shit. So when people believe in something, man, they're willing to go all the way. So when these people are in positions of power and they take advantage of people's blind faith and willingness to try and be great and be a good person and live by these constructs, you're pretty much like the lowest fucking form of human being of all time, and you're a piece of shit. And we want to tell you that on the Swanglin Show, that we hope you fucking die in a house fire. But this next question, we're going to swing it around. We're going to bring it back to the Swanglin heavyweight champion. I want to ask him, because I know you've been traveled, you know, like you went to Israel and you went to the Middle East, and I know you've taken hella trips. I know you're jet setting out there, flying, limousine riding or whatever on the fucking one and only squad cast. You know what I'm saying? So I need to know, what is a positive thing that Judaism has brought to your life?
I mean, I would just say a sense of identity, you know, like identifying with my family is just being a tradition, and understanding, you know, that there's things that are bigger than you. You have a community, you know, and there's certain traditions to each religious faith. Like Prof was saying, I wanted to point out, but I didn't get to, and I remember it now, that, you know, Prof mentioned like going to church on Sundays being one of the only Christian traditions. But if you think about it, like Easter with the eggs, with, you know, Christmas trees, with different, like there's bigger scale things that you don't realize are those kind of traditions, but because they're just spread so far across the spectrum of society as just being like a social norm now, we forget that those are religious traditions, even though some of them were pagan and got adopted by Christianity, you know.
Yeah.
Historically, mistletoe and things like that, Santa Claus, like Saint Nick, like, you can go into the different, like if you go into the actual historical origins of religions, which, I've always found interesting. So I have looked into it. But I guess I'm straying away from your question. A positive thing about Judaism for me was, like I said, just the sense of belonging to a community.
And I think that's a really positive thing, because like deep down as people, we need other people. Nuke had dropped that quote on a previous episode from Woody Hayes, "You win with people." And this shit is fucking fact, man. This shit is straight up truth. We all got to come together, regardless of who you pray to or what your financial status or what your family background or whatever. We as the human beings, man, like we got to come together more frequently and be open-minded about these topics and be able to talk about our differences and be able to understand that to coexist and to have a better world, the beauty of the whole thing and the key element of the whole thing is exactly what it is that we are all different. And we have to be respectful of the fact that we're all different. And if these little stigmas that people try and hold, if that shit goes away, you know what I mean? This world would be much better. Kyle mentioned earlier something about people like being homophobes within religion. You know what I'm saying? Like, who fucking cares, man? Let it go. Let people be who they are. I feel like people get shamed for liking certain things. People get shamed for their lifestyle choices. People get shamed.
And actually, speaking of shame and homophobia, like that mainly comes from right-wing extreme Christians that actually don't point to anything in the New Testament because Jesus never spoke against it. They point to something in the Old Testament, which is the Torah, which is commonly mistranslated. It's to not lie with, they point to it to not lie with men, but it's actually about pedophilia, to not lie with children. So it's a mistranslation that's gone through over the years and is now one little quote that they take and run with it to spread their, bigoted, stereotypical, hateful, negative, energy.
Well, I'm glad. I'm very glad that you just dropped that straight gem piece of information on the Swanglin Show, because I wasn't aware of that. But now that I am aware of that, I kind of pull some things together. That makes a lot of sense. You know what I'm saying? And again, think it like people. My man Stan Edwards Jr. What do you think about what he just said right there?
I was gonna say, I'm so glad. Like you just said, like I'm glad you said that. I'm really glad you said that because, like, and going back to shame, like people will literally pick and choose what they want to. First of all, they'll pick and choose what they want to follow out of the Bible. They'll pick and choose what they want to use to shame people, in the Bible. And I'm the type of person, like I don't believe that. I understand if you want to use the Bible as, a guide, right? A spiritual guide. I get that. But to use it as a rule book, I think that's very, I don't think that's productive. I honestly don't think that's productive. But no, for me, like, I love that.
I was going to add on to what Prof said, because he made a great point about the use of, he said the use of the Bible, but you could spread it further to the use of all religion. Religion is a tool. And when you think about the word tool, you think about an actual physical thing, but tools can be just any mechanism that you use with your mind or with your physical being to accomplish things.
Yeah, solve problems.
Exactly. So religion as a whole, all 3,000 of the religions are tools that are supposed to help us build our spirituality. But just like I can take a hammer and build you a house with it, I can also take that hammer and beat you to death with it. So a tool can be used for both creative and destructive purposes. That, I think, ties back into the human element of what kind of human being are you and how are you going to use that tool and that mechanism in your life.
Yeah, that's fucking fire. And that's true, because when you break it down to the simplicity of the terms that apply, you are 100% correct. And I think that's a very logical and rational way of looking at that. And I think that that's something that maybe people could benefit from off episode 32 of the Swanglin Show. You're getting game from the Swanglin heavyweight champion. You got Marinated Mitch in the building. He's probably wearing a silk robe. He probably don't have a shirt on underneath that. You got the king of the mid card, Stan Edwards Jr., the Swanglin Intercontinental champion of all time in the building. The Newkleus, the fickle freckle boy living in the sea, the co-host with the most, the dude that holds the all-time homecoming king record as the dude that's probably the most handsome one in Cary High School fucking history. Look at that. Look at that beard. That's fucking epic. We're so glad to welcome Kyle back on the Swanglin Show. And this question is for Kyle right now, my co-host. Where the fuck have you been?
The first time I forgot we were dealing with some Bill's money situation. We had to move some money around, and we were dealing with the bank and stuff. The second time I was sleeping, I completely forgot to set an alarm. Slept right through that shit, bro.
Well, look, I'm just gonna.
Well, hey, although I want to put a bow on this. I've been listening to all this. I want to wrap this all up. Okay, so the extremism and the over righteousness and stuff. With these religions, they're a code of ethics that you should apply to yourself. Where the problem comes is when you start to try to push it on other people and apply it to other people and how they need to live. So I think that's where it gets twisted. Is people are like, oh man, this works for me. So it's, and Christianity has an element to it where they do go out and reach out to people. Judaism and Christianity in the Old Testament, there is a passage where it says you are supposed to rebuke your fellow Jew, your fellow man, if they're going astray. So that gets used a lot. But the main thing is it's extremist, that people are taking it way too seriously, and they're trying to make sure that everyone else is doing what they're doing instead of just using it as their code of ethics. For example, even if you follow that passage about, maybe you believe that is true, that it says that gays, that's a negative gay thing. Well, then don't be gay yourself. Why do you have to apply that to anybody else? That's, so no matter what, I think it comes down to just
it comes down to just fucking
not pushing it up.
yeah.
It comes down to mind your fucking business. You know what I'm saying?
Straight up. And that's something that we need to reiterate on the Swanglin shows is
little son of a bitch.
Yeah, you're a little son of a bitch if you fucking judge people or shame people based on religion or try and control people via their participation in religion.
Just
whatever.
be up in their business. People just be up in other people's business. I don't care if someone's gay, straight, trans, whatever, that's their business. What people do in their bedroom, you know what I'm saying? As long as you ain't hurting nobody else, as long as everything's consensual in that bedroom, I don't give a fuck. You know what I'm saying? I don't care what kind of, I don't kink shame. I don't do none of that shit. We from Miami. We get wild down here, so we don't, it's just it is what it is. It's like America's penis and I'm all the way at the tip, you know what I'm saying? Miami South, we be, there's all kinds of freak fests in Key West, and it gets wild down here. But at the end of the day, like I said, what people got going on in their own personal lives should be their own personal business. And I don't think anyone should push anything on anyone. You can if you want to have a conversation, someone's interested, I used to not where I'm at right now, but my other townhouse out west, there used to be Jehovah's Witnesses that would come knocking on the door, and I would open the door and sit there and want to have a conversation, but they would kind of be judgmental and look me up and down and see all the tattoos, and they'd be like, okay, yeah, have a nice day. They wouldn't even go through their pitch. They would. I'm like, what? I thought I came outside. I'd I smoked cigarettes at the time. I'd light a cigarette, stand outside, yeah, you guys don't want to talk? What's up? You knocked on my door. I'm here. What's going on?
Oh yeah, I've had my fair share of fun at the hands of them traveling Jehovah's Witnesses. I'm not gonna lie. I'm just gonna keep it 100. As a teenager, we used to put together all types of shit, dude. We'd see them coming. They'd be on their bicycles or whatever. Or they'd be walking. We'd see them come and be like, hey, when they get here, we're gonna do this. We're gonna do that. You know, we stage a little thing, tell them hail Satan and some more shit when they show up, and tell them, you know, we tell them all types of shit and get them all going. And you know, I got some actual real fucking funny stories about the playing some jokes on the door-to-door religion people. But, you know, I wasn't doing it to hurt nobody's feelings. We were just having a good time.
Yeah, you were a kid.
Absolutely. And I would probably still do it today because I'm juvenile like that sometimes. You know, I'd probably get a good laugh at somebody's expense, you know, if they just popped up at my door or called my phone or something, you know. But I think that's a good thing for us to make light of and talk about the individualism that's involved, because really, you know, people have the freedom to make their own fucking choices. You can follow who you want, you can be who you want, and it doesn't always have to be a negative connotation to that. Just because you choose not to do things or you choose to do things, that doesn't make someone else's path more influential or more bountiful or more fucking great than what you're doing. It's just maybe you might be a little bit different. You know what I'm saying? I know I'm a little bit different in the way I do things in comparison to everybody in this world. That doesn't make me worse. That doesn't make me better. It just means that I'm me. And you can be you too. I mean, do you actually fucking think in this world, Marinated Mitch, that people can come together as one regardless of everything, man? Do you think we can do this shit?
Truthfully, no. But I would love to see it. I think with our television and the religion portion of it and the politics, I think it's all used to separate us. As kids, like we're taught separation and rivalries through schools, man. Like we got these people on this side of town, they're called the Raiders, and we got these people on this side of town, they're called the Hurricanes, and we don't like them just because they're the Raiders and this and this. And when you go to play football, you're playing the toughest you can play, ready to kill these boys. And in all actuality, you're all from the same exact damn community, you know? And I think as kids, it's instilled into us to have that rivalry, that difference, and lose a little bit of the lack of respect through the generations, and it's become what it's become, you know? And I think the only way for it to truly, for everybody to live in peace and practice whatever they want without other people thinking, is we got to get everybody out of office, man. Everybody that's running in these top seats, man, they all got to be kicked to the curb, and you got to put some different colors and ethnicities in there, just so people can get used to it, because people fear what they don't understand or know sometimes. And if you clear that out the way and introduce them to it, and they get an understanding of it, you know, then that's when things will start to change. And that's only, it's got to happen like that. That's the only way it's going to, I feel.
Yeah, we do have to overcome just fear of difference. I feel like that's a big fucking thing, dude, that doesn't get talked about, doesn't get light shed on it in the manner in which it should. Because, dude, a lot of these things in these scenarios where people get shamed is because the person on the other side of the stick has that fear of difference. You know what I mean? Yeah. So if people can get over the fact that, you know, maybe somebody's gay, or maybe someone follows a different God, or maybe someone chooses a different fucking diet, or they cuss, or they had sex before they got married, or whatever, dude, who gives a fuck? You know what I'm saying? If I could pull a direct quote from the Swanglin heavyweight champion, mind your fucking business, on the Swanglin Show. It's episode 32. I'm feeling great about this conversation, fellas. You know what I'm saying? We're always talking about some shit that matters. You know what I mean? And ultimately, religion matters. People have to have something to be a part of. People have to have a standard of morality in the world. Without that, we wouldn't be as technologically advanced. We wouldn't be able to have the advances in medicine. We wouldn't be able to have scientific advances that we have in the world. We wouldn't be able to have a lot of these things without some of the core values and structures that stemmed from religious faith. And that is just a natural snowball of the world, you know? And I think it's very cool that on this episode, we've been able to talk about positivity. We've been able to talk about negative things, and we've been able to keep it 100 all the way around the table on the one and only Squad Cast. On episode 32, as we're talking about different religious faiths, we're talking about some wild ass shit. I'm joined by the Swanglin heavyweight champion of all time. From episode 1, the first ever guest on the fucking Swanglin Show of all time, MrGrippz, Vice Grip, represent South Florida. I got my man Marinated Mitch with the White Sox hat, representing Jonesboro, Arkansas, and that gold chain was expensive. My co-host, Kyle, Newkleus Holsinger, in the motherfucking house. Once again, you can pull him off the side of that milk carton box because he was lost, but now he was found.
Yeah,
he has been saved. And the rapper geek Stan Edwards Jr. sitting in that expensive. I know that car's got to be expensive. He's just lounging in the whip. He's shaking his head no because he doesn't want you to know about how ballin' he really is as the mid-card champion. Stan, I'm going to leave the final thoughts of episode 32 of the Swanglin Show on you right now, my man. What do you got? What do you got for the people, Stan?
All right, there we go. So what I wanted to leave with was understanding. I think we need to expand our level of understanding. Religion itself is how we understand the world, how we understand spirituality, how we understand what happens after this physical realm. When we're done with this physical realm, what happens afterwards, But I think after a certain point, we got lazy with our understanding. We settled into once whatever religion you follow, whatever, you get settled into that religion, and that's as far as your understanding goes. All right, I got some understanding now. I don't need to think anymore. I don't need to understand anymore. And I think we need to start opening that keyhole a little bit more and start, try to understand, why do they do what they do? Why does that person do what they do? Why does that religion do what they do? I think more understanding is, trying to figure out why people do what they do, get an understanding of, your fellow man. To me, I think that's going to help unite the world.
Yo, that's a beautiful thing, man. And I think another thing that we need to drop on them as we close the Swanglin Show episode 32 is the power of your choice, man. You was born into this motherfucking world to be a free-thinking individual that can stand in his own place and handle his own motherfucking business. So if you're listening to the Swanglin Show, I want you to know you have the choice to be whoever it is that you think you can be within whatever structure or whatever, because it's your motherfucking birthright to be able to have a fucking choice. And as we close the Swanglin Show, I got to pull up this song, man, and I want to play this song by the Swanglin heavyweight champion off his album, The Bear Jew Lives. This song called Birthright by my man Vice Grip. Pure motherfucking fire. So we're going to jam that on the Swanglin Show on the way out so y'all can hear this fucking awesome song. I love this motherfucking song. And I think that you guys need to motherfucking hear this as we close on the Swanglin Show. It's going down. Joshua P. Dunn, representing for Swanglers all across this fucking world. On behalf of Marinated Mitch, the #1 contender, my man Vice Grip, Stan Edwards Jr., and the co-host with the most from Cary, Ohio, the fickle freckle boy Newkleus. It's going down. Rick's dangling for life.
Yeah, it's my birthright. 6/26/86, yeah, that's my birthright. I've lived life so far with an outlook that was wrong, trying to prove to everyone that the world could do me no harm. But no matter how much armor I try and pile on, I cannot stop a list of problems a mile long. I am long overdue for something that's new, true. Trying to take a vacation. How about you? Just a little getaway from that average everyday stressing me anyway. I ain't really gotta say all over the world, most of it ain't that also for the Jewish people willing to splurge and donate millions of dollars towards our future and progress, allowing me for free to see Israel, and it's awesome. I promise I'll never let the culture die out. It resides in me eternally, true, and I'm proud. Every day, every night, we endure, we survive, we will live, we will die, no one will take away what is mine, it's my birthright, 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 it's my birthright. Baruch atah Adonai. Every day the sun will rise, thankful for the lessons that I've learned from life. Wonder why the hate that's aimed away is widespread in a major way. Jewish people populate less than 3% of the USA, and we making less than 1% of the planet up. Our bonds are strong, so we can't be taken advantage of. The Star of David's our flag, freedom's our battle cry. They can't get rid of us, even though many fantasized. We fight with all our might, like the 6-Day War. Never forget, never again, I don't need to say more. The only country of our own is the size of New Jersey, and still they make the claim that my people ain't worthy to have our own land, building castles in the sand. Play the cards that you were dealt, looking for that upper hand. I'm the man who will stand for everything that is proper. I gotcha, I do what I can, it's my tzedakah. Every day, every night, we endure, we survive, we will live, we will die, no one will take away what is mine, it's my birthright, 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 it's my birthright. Shalom, l'chaim, my soul is cast iron, molded into a lion, marching down from Mount Zion. I climbed Masada, floated in the Dead Sea. I turned my life experience to art as I MC. I shook hands with Shine at the Western Wall, then prayed for peace and love for us all. A wise Jew once said, a man's intelligence is located in the tip of the pen. Every day, every night, we endure, we survive, we will live, we will die, no one will take away what is mine, it's my birthright, 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 it's my birthright.
Swanglin heavyweight champion coming with that heat. You better go pick up that fucking album, you little dusty, you little son of a bitch.
Hell yeah.
The Bear Jew lives at all the retailers by the Swanglin heavyweight champion vice grip. That is a fire motherfucking song. You know what I'm saying? That shit is dope, my friend. So on behalf of Swanglers Worldwide, we're going to leave you at that note, you little son of a bitch. Quit judging people.